Hello, I'm Mariah Ramharak and welcome to a brand new episode of In Case You Missed It on SportsMax and CEEN TV. Well, the Jamaica football teams, both men and women, have a packed schedule ahead of them this season. The Reggae girls, they play the USA on June 3rd. The Reggae boys have Gold Cup, Unity Cup, World Cup qualifiers and so much more. So it was only fitting I called for the Jamaica Football Federation's press officer, Simon Preston, to put some perspective on what's coming up for both the Jamaica men's and women's teams. Simon, welcome to the show. So good you could stop by at our studios.
Thank you very much, Mariah. I really appreciate it. I've enjoyed this series of In Case You Missed It, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here today.
Thank you. Really good to have you as well. How are you doing? I mean, when you decided to come on the show, I said, okay, so how are we going to explain to the viewers, what exactly your role is? Because the title, JFF Press Officer, is a nice short one, but I'm sure it comes with a lot of responsibilities. Can you break down in as best as possible what are some of your duties?
Sure, not a problem. So everything that is media related with our national teams, you could say that I'm in charge of that to ensure that information goes out to the media. So when you have your respective shows or sports bulletins, persons are kept abreast, and of course the media will transfer that information to the public. And this is in relation to dates, times, matches, locations of our various international teams that take the field, so that they're kept abreast of what is happening as well. And as you mentioned in the prelude, our senior men and senior women will be very active this summer and for the rest of this calendar year as well. So it's very important that persons not only on the island but across the region as well are also kept abreast as well with World Cup qualifiers on the horizon.
Yeah, a lot to keep up with. So can we start with the women? What's coming up for them? I know the team was named to face the USA on June 3rd. That's in Missouri. So let's talk about that. And one of the headlines was No Khadija Bunny Shaw. Any update on her?
Right, so the head coach of the senior women's national team, Coach Hubert Busby, has spoken in recent press conferences regarding load management. He always stressed that the World Cup qualifiers was the priority in terms of ensuring that the players get the absolute rest and balance in terms of playing time. So by the time the qualifiers start for the women come in October. So in terms of Bunny, yes, she is recovering. He is also in contact with the player, and also the medical team, the Jamaican medical team and Manchester City's medical team as well are in dialogue with each other as well. So there's constant communication as to how she's doing, so that when she comes back and gets called up again for the national team, that everything falls into place quite smoothly as well. So we can rest assured that we will be able to see her quite soon, and we can be confident as well that we will continue to see the scintillating performances that we do as well, seeing her in the sky blue of Manchester.
Yeah, really good to see her when she suits up for Manchester City, and even better when she represents Jamaica, and I like to say the Caribbean by
Absolutely.
Extension. So Simon, what I know for sure is you're not only the JFF press officer, you yourself have followed sports, you've worked in the media before. So what are your thoughts on the senior Reggae Girls squad and their chances this summer? Can you put on that analyst hat for me now?
It's an amazing squad, and you have to say the work that has been done behind the scenes for our senior women's national team last decade or beyond has been tremendous in terms of the quality of talent that has been on display. It truly has been one that has grown from strength to strength. And when you look at the composition of this squad, and Coach Busby mentioned players still on their way in terms of acquiring Jamaican passports as well, which will add depth to the squad, and you could say it bodes well, and it will certainly be a platform, especially from that 2023 cycle getting into the round of 16. So you can say that the future is bright in relation to the senior women's national team, and expectations should be of that as well going forward. When you factor in that we have players that apply their trade within England, within Spain, within the United States, all across Europe as well, it just shows the strength of the team as well. So going into that 2027 cycle, yes, the team has to qualify first, but we can rest assured that there is tremendous quality on disposal.
Yeah, and then after the USA assignment, what's next for the ladies? Because they were supposed to have a friendly against England later this month as well. Is that still on?
Yes, so we can say that is confirmed confirmed. June 29, England against Jamaica. What a game that is. A team that was runners-up in the last World Cup and a team that is also European champions as well in England. June 29 in Leicester, in Midlands in England, where you have a huge Jamaican diaspora as well. So it's going to be outstanding, not only for the Jamaicans that we have living within England as well, but also the players to come up against England, a team that has tremendous accolades and play for some of the biggest clubs in the world. And it will certainly bode well as well, as you're bearing in mind the World Cup qualifiers for women will kick off in October. So the United States and England, two very, very good tests for the senior women's national team heading into the World Cup qualifiers in October. So you can say that these are very, very good games ahead.
Yeah, really good as well for the girls to, continue to develop that chemistry and get a lot of game time under their belt. Well, Simon, we're going to move to the men now. So let's say June 10, the Reggae Boys versus Guatemala. They have World Cup qualifiers. How are preparations coming along for that?
Yes, in terms of World Cup qualifying, as you know, you'd have to say this is a priority because, of course, this determines World Cup qualification. And in many ways, you can even say we're 8 matches away from qualifying for the World Cup.
Yeah.
That's the margin, or how close we are, if you put it in that perspective. 2 matches in the June window, and all being well, the September, October, November window, that's 6 matches. So it just goes to show how close we are and how all stakeholders should be behind the team in terms of booking qualification to the World Cup. So in terms of answering your question in relation to how preparation is going, you could say from the technical staff standpoint, things have been going well. For myself, from the media standpoint, and also assisting Ava with the marketing standpoint, preparations have been going well. So we can see a sea of black, green and gold in the National Stadium come June 10 to ensure that the team gets all the valuable support that they need to get 3 points over the line against Guatemala. Of course, we have a tournament prior to the World Cup qualifiers, which will help the team to fine-tune preparations, you could say, for the World Cup qualifiers. So I think the Unity Cup in London will help the team heading into the World Cup qualifiers, and of course the Gold Cup in the United States in the summer.
I'm happy that you touched on that Unity Cup, because it's one that I think the entire Caribbean is looking forward to. And, I just want to spend a bit more time, Simon, talking about that matchup. You said it would be great preparation, but for coach who would be looking to finalize his players for these World Cup qualifiers, how important will this be for him as well?
Very important, as he continues to put pen to paper to that 23 that he'd want for those World Cup qualifying games in June. The window in terms of the Unity Cup, we know how close it is to the back end of the English Premier League season, so you may not have everybody available, but at least players who ended their season earlier, for example, Championship, League One players, a couple of JPL players that finished their season early as well and still in the playoffs. It is their opportunity to impress and to excel and to hold their hand up to say, I deserve to be part of the squads moving forward. So in that sense, Coach McLaren has an opportunity to be able to see individuals, to see players who can stake their claim for future squad selections, and he can fine-tune things or perhaps test something to see if this can work moving forward for Jamaica. So it is something that is embraced in terms of these 2 matches, and what an opportunity to play against Trinidad and Tobago in England as well.
Now let's turn to the Gold Cup, and the Gold Cup is set to unfold from June 14 to July 6. You must travel a lot.
I must tell you that it's really exciting, and I can honestly say I genuinely enjoy doing what I'm doing. So it's an absolute privilege to be in a capacity that I am. I'm blessed about it, and yeah, it is a lot of travel, and to not I even count down the countries as well. It is an absolutely amazing opportunity, and I'm grateful for it. Sometimes it's long flights, a 9-hour flight. Sometimes it might be a trip across the Caribbean, but yes, CONCACAF is quite a compelling region. Yes, something I very much enjoyed. So you spoke about the Gold Cup, and the Gold Cup is an important competition, as you know, to Jamaica. The last 5 tournaments, Jamaica has been to 2 finals, 2 semi-finals and a quarter-final. So it shows how seriously the Jamaicans have been in this competition and how well we have done in previous years, and what a group it is as well, and to kickstart the tournament in LA as well. What a place to start the tournament as well, so it'll be exciting. Really
excited about that. And now the Reggae Boys, they'll square off against familiar regional rivals. That's like Panama, Guatemala, Guadeloupe. That's in the group stage, right? And Jamaica is the Caribbean's #1 ranked team. Simon, from your football analysis capacity, which team will be Jamaica's toughest opponent? On paper, of course, because we can't really tell what would happen on the day.
Yeah, 3 three compelling teams, all for different reasons. Guadeloupe, of course, being a French colony, so they certainly have players that apply their trade in France, Ligue 1 and Ligue 2. Guatemala, always a crafty opposition, maybe not as physical as Jamaica, but always have proven to be very, very stubborn against Jamaica. And of course, Panama, a team that was at the 2018 World Cup, you could say on paper might be the toughest test, like to handle the ball in close spaces. So Jamaica and Panama, of course, are expected to go through, but the Gold Cup over time has shown surprises. But certainly Jamaica, Panama is one that persons will be keeping their eye on for sure.
Yeah, a lot of surprises when it comes to the Gold Cup. But the good thing is, and I've seen a lot of the graphic with Leon Bailey back into the squad, that's a good sign for Jamaica.
It certainly is. When you look in the stands, especially from the United States game, to see upwards of 30,000 in that her first game of the quarterfinals, St. Vincent game at Sabina Park as well, to hear the vuvuzelas and noise when the stadium announcer calls out Leon Bailey. Absolutely amazing to hear that as well, and great to have him in the squad. He's a proud patriot of Jamaica, and of course we love having him as well. So may these performances that we've seen him replicate at Aston Villa be replicated for country as well, especially heading into the summer that lies ahead.
Yeah, especially because if Jamaica is to go all the way when it comes to the Gold Cup, they will need a fit, a firing Leon Bailey. What about Mikel Antonio? Any updates on him?
So Mikel Antonio has been progressing nicely from his accident that he had back in December. Coach McLaren has been in regular communication with Mikel. He was in the gym, and he also did some remedial work in Dubai. He's even returned to light training on the field of play, which is encouraging as well. And even Coach McLaren said that a possibility exists that he could be on the matchday squad against Ipswich Town as well, which would be a massive turnaround in 6 months. So the hope is that he can be available at some point in the summer. There's no rush in relation to that, but the hope is that at some point in the summer he can be able to feature, but at worst case scenario it comes September. So it's good to know that we will see him back on the pitch quite soon.
Yeah, and good to know that he's been recovering really well, and for me pretty quickly, so absolutely. Love that for him. Well, the boys, they have recent Gold Cup victories over all three of their Group C opponents. Would we say a psychological edge that could prove invaluable heading into the summer?
I do think it helps when you have that head-to-head record. I think it does give you something in the win column when you have history of doing something. It's not a situation where it's something you've never done. So I do like that. Yes, 2021, you talk about that Guadeloupe victory. Panama, we go back to 2019, that 1-0 victory. And of course, Guatemala in the quarterfinals 2 years ago as well, amongst many other performances. So it does help when you have that head-to-head history. And now for the technical staff to analyze the footage, what worked well in those games, and perhaps room for improvement as well in terms of the latter stages of the competition as well, to try and claim Jamaica's first title in this competition. Yeah,
really good stuff there, Simon. Well, you've been working very closely with the head coach, Steve McLaren. What are your thoughts on his philosophy and of course his coaching style?
Quite a personality, isn't he?
Yeah, I love whenever I have to chat with Coach.
Yeah, of course, he's a vastly experienced individual, somebody that has a great experience of success and winning. So you could say his type of thinking and in the way how he envisions things, he looks ahead to the future as well, very proactive. So that is something that is very encouraging, and he applies that with all of his staff as well, whether it is our team managers, whether it is our medical staff, whether it is with myself in media. In all the areas, he makes everybody feel a part of the process, and that is exactly how you want to feel, especially in any organization. Motivation of your staff, it helps you tremendously, and of course that translates to the players when they come into camp as well. So he's really bought in that philosophy, and it has really boded well with the staff that is around to transfer into the players on the day. So he's been a massive positive, you'd have to say.
Yeah, you know, Simon, I've never gotten the opportunity to work on the other side of the media, the communication aspect. Luckily, you've gotten the chance to do it all, both, right? But it sounds like it's a lot of different tasks that you're involved in. How difficult is it for you managing all these different things that are happening?
Yeah, you could say there are complexities. As you know, in mainstream media, you have different components. Television, of course, is different from radio compared to print. And of course, persons that might be working in radio or television may demand something that is slightly different. For radio individuals, they might just want the audio of something, while in television, it's all about the visuals. So there are different components for different persons working in mainstream media. And of course, you have to sometimes cater to what they would like. Print, it might be just about photos or pictures. So it is about case-by-case basis where that is concerned. At times, some may say it is tedious, but at the end of the day, it is something that I enjoy doing because it is about positively enhancing Jamaican football.
Yeah, well, I know that for sure. I know you enjoy doing what you do, and you definitely give it your best. Well, what are the importance, of your role and ensuring that the media is updated? Because one of the things I find myself when I'm sitting on the talk show that I host, the SportsMax Zone, some organizations, they're very, very hidden when it comes to sharing information with the media. You have to literally beg, you have to call. One of the things I've noticed, with the JFF is you tend to put out a lot of press releases. There is a group, Simon, that, you tend to keep the media updated. How important is that for you and for you to ensure that the media has what they need?
What I would say is, for me personally, and how I feel generally, is to avoid misinformation. Of course, maybe when you pick up your phone or you go on the computer, you might be bombarded with different things you might see online, and that leads to speculation. And that is something that I want to stamp out or just remove completely, remove false things that you might see online, rumors, and just put out the positive information. So there's clarity on things, so that when you go online, you're not questioning or not saying, is this true? Sometimes you may get something sent to your phone in any area, whether it might be news or business or other sectors. I just want to ensure that whenever there's information that it comes out of the Federation, you know that this is factual and you don't have to speculate if it is not otherwise. So for me, that is why I view that as a priority, so that the media is kept abreast, so that as soon as when a squad comes out or whenever there's an announcement from the General Secretary or President, that it is clear, it is concise, so that when you have your talk shows, programs, or news bulletins, that I trust that the information is portrayed in a manner to the public that they understand it completely.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, Simon. Recently, though, I saw you started a new series on the JFF YouTube. It's called Executive Corner. Talk to me about the concept behind this.
So Executive Corner, yes, it is a concept that you could say was born a couple of months ago. The General Secretary and of course the Marketing Manager Avery Campbell and Gary O'Graham from Kingston Made Productions, we came about this project in terms of having, whether it's former national players or JFF staff on, so that persons can hear their voice, to hear their story in football. That is where you could say this all started, so that persons can know the other side of things, not only just the players, the teams, but just to know JFF staff, former players, so that they can be also aware of this as well, and persons can know what happened pre-2000, pre-1998. So that is the story behind it, the aim behind it. And so far the series is, you could say, every other week. So that is a sort of consistency that we're seeing. And the plan is to be as consistent as possible towards that as well. And I'm trust that over time that it will lead to a lot of support as the days and weeks progress.
It's now time for my favorite part of today's interview. It's what we call here rapid fire time. So I'll ask you a question and you say the first word or phrase that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Okay.
The best part about your job?
Working for my country.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Okay. Now the toughest aspect of what you do?
That's a good one. Toughest part. Fact-checking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apart from football, do you follow any other sport?
I do. My second favorite sport would be cricket.
Really? What's the third?
Third, lacrosse.
Nice. Good stuff there, Simon. I didn't see lacrosse coming, but I also know about your involvement. Right. So, okay, favorite part about being a Jamaican?
The creativity.
All right. Most beautiful country you've ever visited?
Switzerland.
Oh my, that's one on my bucket list. Yeah. Okay, are you a morning person or a night person?
I am a night owl, but if there are opportunities for travel, I'll wake up early.
So only to travel, you're a
Yes,
morning person.
yes.
Got it. Okay, what word comes to mind when you think reggae boys?
Winning.
Yeah, okay, love that. One word to describe this upcoming 2025 Gold Cup campaign.
Exciting.
Favorite footballer of all time?
Wayne Rooney.
Most memorable moment in the job so far?
Jamaica versus Canada, November 2023 in Toronto. That come from behind 3-2 win.
Yeah, brilliant stuff there. Well, Simon, let's now head across to social media to see what's been trending.
Okay.
Okay, so we have this one from the official JFF page. I don't know if you had something to do with this, but history is calling and we're ready to answer. The Reggae Girls take on the USA on June 3, 7 p.m. in St. Louis, Missouri, and we're bringing heart, hustle, and pure Jamaican pride to the pitch. Mark your calendars. Let's cheer on our girls. Anything you want to say in relation to this, and how important is it, that line, let's cheer on our girls?
Very important, especially as they are also ahead of a World Cup qualifying cycle. And as we know, we have over 2 million Jamaicans living within the United States as well. So especially persons that are in the East Coast, do find your way over to Missouri to support our girls as well.
Yeah, the other one now. Let's see what else we have here for Simon. All right, so June 10, we go again. If you believe, drop a flag. And, you know, we're talking about the Reggae Boys in this one. What I noticed with the JFF pages is y'all are very strategic when it comes to getting interactions and all of this. Have you received a lot of flags so far?
Yes, there has been a lot of flags as well, so a lot of credit to the team for that work as well. Yes, we want to paint the stadium yellow, black, green and gold so that we can have 35,000 in capacity for that Guatemala game. As you would have heard stories, that 98 campaign, it felt like a movement where you had all Jamaicans united. And certainly that's what we want to do with the island as well, to get everybody, every single stakeholder on board on this journey as well.
Yeah, I'm wishing you all the very best, Simon, you and your entire team. I want to thank you so much for joining me on today's show, and I look forward to chatting with you again really soon.
Yes, looking forward to it as well. Thank you very much for having me, and I'm sure we'll be in dialogue very, very soon.
Yeah, well, folks, that's a wrap for today's episode of In Case You Missed It. Be sure to like, share, and comment, and let me know what you thought about today's interview. Also, if you'll be showing up at those Reggae Boys and Reggae Girls matches, comment below and let me know. Well, goodbye for now.